Hello audience, welcome to our final career exploration video. Today we have the career of law enforcement. My name is A.J. Murphy, and here with us we have two detectives from Maple Grove, Tanya Petz and Matt Brost. We're going to kind of talk about their early lives, high school, college, and what they kind of did to set themselves up for their careers after college. First we're going to talk about high school. You guys both said English and spelling were key things to help you out, but Tanya, you also said psychology and foreign language.
Yes, I did. English and spelling are important in law enforcement because of the number of police reports we have to write. Anything that we do, any interaction we have with the public, we have to deal with writing a police report to document that. But I also felt that psychology was important because psychology helps study people, and law enforcement is essentially just the study of people, why they do what they do, and trying to figure out what is going on. I also felt that foreign language was important because we deal with a diverse community, and so having the ability to communicate with different people is very beneficial in law enforcement.
Nice. And then Matt, you said political science was important.
Absolutely. I kind of like to echo off of what Tanya said about English, and that's what a lot of people in the public don't see, is that law enforcement and having a job as a police officer is a lot of paperwork. Every time we have contact with someone in the public, we have to document that and write a report on that. So English, grammar, and spelling are very, very important. In regards to the political science, I included that in there is because being in law enforcement, you kind of have to be up and up on your current events and government. Not only are we state employees, government employees out there serving the public, but we also deal a lot with attorneys, maybe legislatures. Anytime there's anything like bills or laws passed, I mean, that goes through government, and so that's why I think that's important to help understand, because a lot of the laws that we have out there that we enforce are established by government officials.
All right. So now we're going to talk about their paths after high school. We're going to go back to Matt. You had a pretty interesting path after high school. You went to community college, a university, back to community college, and then technical college. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, when I was in high school, I really had no idea what I wanted to do in life. All I knew is that I wanted to go to college. And what I did was went to a community college, a local community college here, and took care of some of my general credits. And as I got into college, I took some classes and some lights started to turn on kind of what I was interested in doing. I knew I wanted to go to a major university as well, so what I did is I went to the University of Minnesota after my year at the North Hennepin Community College, and I jumped into pre-med. After taking probably, I'd say 2 years of pre-med, I decided that, you know what, this wasn't really for me, and I jumped into pre-law. And that is where I kind of landed with my degree. I got a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Minnesota in the Sociology of Law, Crime, and Deviance, along with a business minor, with the idea that I was going to go to law school. However, I knew that I had some other goals in life that I wanted to pursue before I went to additional school, so I chose that path instead. I got into the business field, and it was good. I had some good experiences in business. However, I felt like some of my talents were being underutilized. I wanted to deal more with people personally rather on a phone or via email. So I had a family member who is in law enforcement, did a ride along with them, and said, you know what, I want to be a police officer. So that led me on the path to take an additional year of community college and then jump into the police academy, get my education there, and pick up the skills I needed to get into law enforcement. And here I am, 9 years later, a detective with the Maple Grove Police Department.
Nice. And then Tanya, you went to community college, then out to Concordia and got your master's.
Correct. I, like Matt, didn't know that I wanted to be a police officer when I grew up. I went to school because my parents told me in order to live at home you have to go to college. So I started as a business major, did my first year as a business major, and it wasn't for me. And I was visiting with some friends at the college, the community college I was going to, and they said, you know what, I could see you as a police officer, and I'd never considered it. So I switched my major, and I got my 2-year degree through Rochester Community College in law enforcement. And then from there I went and did my skills training, or the hands-on part, through Hibbing Community College. And I went out and got my first police job. And I did that for several years with no intention of ever going back. But as the profession has changed and we've become more professional, I felt that it was more important to have more education. So I went through Concordia, got my bachelor's degree, and then most recently I went through St. Joseph's University and I got my master's degree in criminal justice.
Nice, very nice. All right, so some recommended college classes that these guys thought should be important. Tanya, you said sociology and historical criminal justice.
Correct. Follows up with my recommendation as far as high school classes. Any of the ology classes, essentially, psychology, sociology, anything that's going to help you study people and understand why people do what they do and kind of give you an insight into them is a very beneficial class. Understanding the history of criminal justice and history in general, people tend to repeat history, and so if you have an idea of what's happened in the past, it will help you with dealing with the future. And so, yeah, history, any criminal justice program or classes are beneficial as well to understand what law enforcement is and why we do what we do.
Gotcha. And then, Matt, you also said criminal justice, but you said public speaking and English and writing.
Yep. Kind of what we talked about it for high school, English and writing are very important with the job of being a police officer, with the amount of reports that we have to do on a daily basis. But yeah, I also said public speaking. We are constantly in the public eye. And not only, are we dealing with the public when we're responding for calls for service, but you probably watch the news and you often see probably a chief of police or a captain of a police department addressing the media. And then in situations like this where we're sitting down with you, we have to kind of be well spoke. So public speaking is definitely is beneficial in our job. And then I said criminal justice as well because it's just a part of getting into this job, knowing the history of law and crimes and why people do what they do. So.
All right. Some other career-related activities that these guys did to help prepare themselves. Matt, you volunteered for a group called Watch, and then you also did some ride-alongs with local police.
Right, yep, that's correct, AJ. As I mentioned earlier, when I was early on in my career, I'd say, well, prior to getting into law enforcement, I mentioned I had a family member who was a police officer, and just doing that ride-along with him opened my eyes to a whole new world and a whole new career on, hey, this is something that I'm very interested in and something that I wanted to do. So I would encourage anyone who is looking to get into this field to do that. We also have different programs within our police department. Different agencies have explorer programs where you can get your foot in the door and learn about local law enforcement and their practices and how they operate. But yeah, I also volunteered in college with a group called Watch, and what they are is they volunteer in their presence in the courtroom, and they're kind of advocates of making sure that any women and children who are victims of domestic violence get fair trials, get their say. So it was more of monitoring the courtroom behavior rather than actually being out there on the street. So you're actually seeing a trial take place and making sure that women and children are heard in the justice system.
All right, that sounds very nice. Tanya, you said some police reserve work, community service officer, and also some ride-alongs.
Well, as we talked earlier, I had no idea that I wanted to go into law enforcement when I was younger, and I never took advantage of many of the opportunities out there. So I had never actually set foot into a police car until about 6 months before I got hired as a police officer, and that's when I joined a reserve police program for the police department in my hometown. But for those looking to get into law enforcement, any opportunity that they can have to get the idea of what a police department is like, what a police officer does, whether it be a community service officer, which is a paid position, or like Matt mentioned, explorers or reserves, which are volunteer, anything to kind of get your foot in the door and have a firsthand knowledge of what it's like is beneficial.
All right. Well, that about wraps up our video. Look for link 2 with our other host, Carson Celine, and we'll see you later.